Hello.
Hello, this is 7 Days Supply here. I'm here with Kat,
Yes.
and we're both ex Dead by Daylight players. I think you've got like a 500 hours in the game. I had like 5,000 or 3,000 or 4,000 or whatever. I can't quite remember, but I had a
Approximately
lot of
that
hours in the
much.
game. Yes, you say you played it quite a lot, but I played it much more than you. I was
Yes.
more hardcore into it. So you barely played Killer. You played a lot of Survivor with me, and I
Yes.
played a lot of Killer.
I
And
mo-
we haven't played the game. Sorry, yeah, go
I
ahead.
mostly played Survival with friends, but that was it.
Yes, yes. And I dropped the game due to the feminist community management, quite frankly, for the man haters. But that's for another video if I ever tackle that subject. And the general disrespect towards killer players, the toxic fan base, the bad game balance, the incompetent balancing team, right? So there were just so many issues with the game, and I think the last killer. Who was the last killer? I can't remember. It was quite a few killers ago. Though it's like I just generally got so yeah, it was Venica, that Dungeons and Dragons killer. That was the last killer.
Oh
He
yes.
dropped, and yes, and then we stopped playing. It had a really terrible level with a basement, right?
It
So
was a
basically the way you had to play the way you had to play the level as a killer is you had to avoid the basement and just free gen up on the upper level. Because you went down to look for them in the tower in the tomb, you'd lose because you wouldn't have to cover enough ground fast enough. So you had to free gen the upper levels. It just made it boring. So you either won every single time, or if you tried to play interestingly on the whole map, you'd lose every single time. And there was legitimate. There was actually a pallet as well. There's actually a pallet that you could just walk through as well. And there was a section of the map where you couldn't like hook someone when it first dropped at all. You down them, massive section. It didn't matter, right? It's like there was lots. Oh my god, all these memories are coming back. All these suppressed memories. So I quit Dead by Daylight basically, and I set up YouTube so it wouldn't recommend me Dead by Daylight videos anymore because I just wanted to have a break from the game completely. Okay, and for some weird reason today it recommended me this video. I unsubscribed to all the channels, blocked all the channels, yet it recommended me this. And I was just interested because it's how Tokyo Ghoul broke Dead by Daylight, and I'm just interested to see the state of the game, right?
so it was a brokenly powerful killer. When
Yes,
normally it's survivors with friends that are brokenly overpowered against most killers.
right. Oh, yes, yes. But this is not just OP. This is bad game design. Let's watch the video, and I'll ask you to pause it every now and again. So we'll talk about this killer. We haven't played a killer, so we're just guesstimating. But we're going to talk about the problems with Dead by Daylight because there still seems to be the same problems with the community and this game in general. You just tell by watching this video.
I mean, it wouldn't
Okay.
surprise me if the game hasn't changed, nor the community. Anyway,
Yes. So
let's
let's watch.
Freddy Krueger, Michael Myers, Leatherface, Ghostface. They're all legendary, gritty horror killers who have been famous for decades. But we're missing something. One more legend to sit next to these icons, and that thing is anime? Let me tell you about DBD's most controversial DLC and how Kaneki from Tokyo Ghoul broke Dead by Daylight. Today's story starts pretty recently in around early to mid 2024 when whispers started quietly spreading around the community claiming that a Tokyo Ghoul chapter is soon to release in Dead by Daylight. These were barely able to be described as leaks though. Instead, it was more of a my friend's cousin's uncle's dog's sister's auntie's brother said that he heard it from a reliable source type of thing. But it's still got a
Pause.
lot of
Okay. So I've read the Tokyo Ghoul manga. I've watched the anime. I just don't like the design of the killer. It looks ugly and overcomplicated. To be honest, it just looks weird. What do you think?
I mean, it looked pretty garish, very brightly coloured.
Yeah.
It's just
Yes, and
not
those
exactly
tentacle
fitting.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't look scary. It just looks ugh. Yeah. So let's
Yes.
carry on.
feathers rustled. The DLC hadn't released yet. In fact, hadn't even been announced yet, and was already proving to be controversial. Some people were pretty excited at that thought. Some were Tokyo Ghoul fans just excited to see their favourite franchise in a video game that wasn't awful. Others were people who hadn't seen the show but thought the white-haired cannibal mask fella looked pretty cool. But a significantly bigger, or perhaps more vocal group, was not so fond of this idea, laughing it out of the gate.
This kill is trash, by the way. I'm not saying the kill is trash. I'm saying the person playing the kill is trash. Right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Oh my god, bringing back memories. All right.
Asking for anime in DBD since 2017, and it's just as ridiculous of an idea now as it was then, they'd say. Anime has...
Yes.
Okay, there was anime in Dead by Daylight before with the
Trickster?
what's that name? Attack on Titan
Oh yeah.
stuff.
I remember
Yes,
the
and
Attack
you
on
could
Titan
skin your
skins.
you could skin your killer Oni with an Attack on Titan skin, which I used to love playing as. I had a lot of fun with Oni. I didn't get good with him. I got good with Pyramid Head, but it was a lot of fun. But yeah.
Yes.
But anyway, let's carry on.
No place in DBD. It's meant to be a horror game, not some kid's cartoon. Leave it to Fortnite or something. Some people were saying they'd
Right,
even
I will
quit the
pause.
game.
Yes.
So if you say that about anime, it's kids' cartoon, to dismiss it, you're ignorant. Anyone who says that, you're an ignorant piece of shit, as far as I'm concerned, because anime is multiple genres, right? So
Yes.
there's horror, there's gangster, there's science fiction, there's romance, there's comedy, there's even sports, martial arts, right? Okay, there's all the genres you can imagine exist for anime, right? It's just animation, that's all it is. So you get these anti-anime dweebs, because I call them dweebs, right? Who just like to attack on anime and think they're cool for doing it. They're trying to. The thing is, they haven't caught up now. Anime's actually mainstream, and they're still trying to punch down on it like it's still niche. It doesn't work because most people watch anime now,
I mean,
in my opinion.
This isn't 20 years ago, is it?
Yes.
And
Yes.
there's some really scary horror designs in anime and manga that beats
Yeah.
out the West a lot of times.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway.
Let's carry on.
Entirely if behaviour added something as ridiculous as anime. But as the months passed, there was still no official mention of Tokyo Ghoul, or any other anime for that matter, being added into the game. So, just like most internet discourses, this discussion, which got so
Oh,
many
what the fuck's
people's
going on
blood
there?
boiling,
How did
was
you avoid that?
practically forgotten. But it was only a matter of time until the
Well,
leaks
what's getting
returned.
ever seen in my
And this
life?
time, it wasn't just faceless whispers from the shadows. This time, it was a post in a known DBD leakers Discord server with what seemed to be the original source of those Tokyo Ghoul whispers returning once again.
Can you imagine
Perhaps someone...
miles on that loop there? How frustrating that is.
Right.
People know to get, because I've played it before. People know to like milk it, and so yes, they know to milk it. And if mind you, you're going to drop it, or is he trying to greed it? That can be like really nasty. That mind game right there.
Yeah.
If you ever played Dead by Daylight, only playing range killers or killers with anti-loop powers that can just bypass this nonsense.
Yeah, of
So
course.
let's carry on.
Not bothered by how quickly the community dismissed the original claim, here to back it up and double down on it. They started off by humbly assuring us that they were not trolling or pulling our legs with this leak, saying that they themselves genuinely believe Tokyo Ghoul is coming to DBD as they got this information from a reliable source. So reliable in fact that they were also told some other secrets which they won't share out of respect. Weird how Tokyo Ghoul doesn't get the same respect as these other mysterious secrets, but sure. The tricky thing with claims like this is that almost every fake leak in the history of everything ever begins with, "You have to believe me guys, I heard this from a trustworthy source who I can't name." But what people often forget is that the real
The
ones
survivor's
do
pretty good.
Yes.
Yeah, they know that it's pattern recognition. You learn it off by heart, basically the loops, and you get very good. You know how to play them. This survivor's pretty good. Yes.
Yeah, of course.
2. The fake ones can't name their trustworthy source as it just doesn't exist, but the real ones can't name anyone either as it could land their source in some serious trouble, and the person spreading the leaks would also end up in some hot water as the original source would likely have to name who they shared the information with. The only usual exception to this is when the leaks come in the form of people analysing the game files, typically looking for leftover
If you like
references
watching
to
a
future
Looney Tunes
characters and powers
cartoon,
from
actually.
internal testing that weren't fully removed before shipping, which is known as data
Constant
mining.
looting around.
But the leaker wasn't done yet. They then immediately followed up by shutting down 2 other fake leaks floating around, that being The Grudge and Perfect Blue, and then putting some real weight behind these claims by leaking, the killer due to release in December will be called the Houndmaster. Aside from
Blue
instantly
would be
breaking their
interesting.
own promise of
But
not
the female
leaking more
killing
out
that
of
one
respect for the devs,
was a normal
we
human. I
now
wonder
have
how
our
to do
wager.
that.
If this guy's the real deal like he claims, we'll get ourselves the Houndmaster in December. And if that does happen, that means he really does have a
fucking
trustworthy
nasty
source,
well.
and it means he's also right about Tokyo Ghoul. Only around
You see
a
how
month
big it
later,
is?
we got
Yeah.
another leak coming from a different source. This one claiming to have been involved in some sort of playtesting for behaviour, describing what Tokyo Ghoul's power would be. Placeholder name, the Mutant. Power, the ability to grab survivors with tentacles and pull themselves towards the survivor. There were 2 different versions, one with a delay before attacking the survivor, one without. The killer also had an infection mechanic of some kind, much like Nemesis and Wesker, but it seemed unfinished as it didn't seem to have any obvious effect. The placeholder model was a maskless Legion member. As usual, more discussion ensued. More theorizing, more claims of anime being the death of DBD, and others saying that they did believe the Tokyo Ghoul leaks, but not anymore, as this doesn't fit Kaneki.
Anti-anime
Take this comment for
snob
example.
Yes, trolls.
Yes.
Trolls, basically. Yes, so... Okay.
So we know anime
Let's
didn't
play.
kill DBD. It was entitled Survivor Mains. Just
Yes, well, the game's not dead yet. It's still going... It's probably still doing well. Who knows? Because
alright.
all the shit taste play... It's killed the gameplay, but the game still thrives. It's a shit... It's a successful shit tier game with shit taste.
Yes,
Which is a shame because it's got a lot of potential. It had the potential to be one of the greatest games of all time, in my opinion, but whatever.
Yeah, basically.
So,
I mean, it's a successful game with players with shit taste. That's it.
yeah.
Stating that no human that Kaneki injured ever showed any signs of any kind of infection. So this kit just wouldn't make sense at all. Others said that even outside of the kit, personality-wise and story-wise, the role of killer in Dead by Daylight does not suit Kaneki at all. He specifically went out of his way to ensure that he avoided injuring any humans as best as he could, even at a cost to himself, which was a huge part of his character. And now Behaviour expect the license holders to agree to
You
turning
see what I mean?
Kaneki...
These double pallets here, right next to each other.
Yes.
What play it? Yes, they're nasty.
Yes.
Or M1 killers. It's disgusting. Like, but like strong killers, it doesn't matter. But for the low tier killers, it's a real nasty pain, right? So the game's really nasty for like. So the problem is, people think, oh, they tell me, oh, get good. You're just whining, complaining because you're a weak killer. No, because I don't play those fucking killers anymore. I was playing the high tier killers where this didn't bother me. What pissed me off is that there were horror icons like Michael Myers and Ghostface who were completely fucking useless because of game design like this,
Yes.
right? So they're what they call it, they're bloat content then, right? They're just bloat content. No one's going to play them. You're not going to play them, right? They might as well not exist. They're just taking up hard disk space.
Yeah.
That's the fucking point I was making. I was playing fucking Pyramid Head and Huntress, right? I was fucking owning people most of the time. Okay?
Yeah.
But anyway.
Killer players had their way of dominating the survivors, but all the variety was taken out. There was no real variety of killers to play competitively.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
into a human killing machine? It doesn't make sense. Even if it is Tokyo Ghoul, it would have to be a different Ghoul being the killer. Maybe Rize is the killer with Kaneki as the survivor, and we just say, the entity took them both before the accident happened. But there's no way that they'd get the license and not have Kaneki's iconic Ghoul mask plastered all over it. Something doesn't make sense. Time passed.
I'm going to talk about my experience against high-level survivors. So I did play against high-level survivors who are much better than me, but it's very, 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 very rare. Okay? Right? Like, when I was really trying, I beat almost every single team I played against. It was very, very rare as Pyramid Head I would lose. Very, very rare. Only the very best could beat me. Okay? Only the very best. And they were Swifts. Yeah? You could have like really good players playing randomly with randoms. I'll still win. If it was a Swift, even good Swifts I'd beat most of the time, but the very best Swifts, the professional Swifts, because I realised when I was talking to players, they'll just like they'll play a bit of killer a little bit, but there were survivor mains, and they thought they understood the game, but they didn't, right? Because I know the difference between good survivors and shit ones. What's possible? They'll give you gameplay advice. These shit survivors are or they're gaslighting you, but it wouldn't apply to good survivors players. Okay,
Yes,
right?
I
They didn't know
remember.
what the fuck. And these people didn't know what the fuck they were talking about, dictating the balance of the game because they'll gaslight you and control the narrative. And I literally got a death threat from a polite conversation once, and the thing is, I got abused relentlessly on the Steam forums, taunted, and because I lost my temper, right, and retaliated back, I got banned permanently. Well, fuck you. That's when I stopped playing for sure. So I wasn't bad from the game. I was bad from the Steam forums. I'm not gonna contribute to a community like that anymore, and I really wish I could get all my cosmetic refunded. Like, fuck you for banning me from the Steam forums, you disgusting piece of shit, after I spent so much fucking money in your fucking game. Probably hundreds of pounds on cosmetics, and I feel like an idiot saying this. Like, fuck you. Like, fuck you. Like, I was getting fucking survivor mains flooding me with clown emojis, right, and I wasn't allowed to retaliate back. Fuck you.
Yes.
Yeah?
Very typical bully mentality. So
Yes.
one group of players
Yes.
can just humiliate another group of players. The other group of players
Yes.
can't do anything back, and because
Yes.
they have the mods on the side and the game development on the side. It's so
So I'm going to tell you something else as well. They're pandering for two reasons. They're pandering to the majority of the player base, the survivors, because they're like, it's four survivors against one killer, and they're pandering to the casuals and female players who are casuals, right? Because I noticed it was female players who were like really whiny and complaining. There was whiny and complaining male players, don't get me wrong, but the biggest ones were female players. I'm sorry.
yeah.
And they were casuals and survivors. I saw countless streams, them raging out, not trying to learn. Like, and I survived. I played with loads of casuals, right? In Swiss, I'm talking about skill level, right? So what we do, they'll make terrible strategic mistakes, right? They'll make really awful strategic mistakes, and then they'll rage and whine and complain, right? And you try and tell them, like, it's happened like at least 3 times. I swear to God, you tell them, right? You're making this mistake, right? You're giving away free pressure. You're getting in the killer's face, right? You don't have to do it, okay? Okay, stay. Right, you're on death hook. Stay away from the generator because you look at the generator. Just hide, okay? And they go, "Oh, I'm just a casual player." So you want to bitch about the game, but when you're giving advice and you don't want to learn because you're too fucking stubborn, you're just a casual player.
It's,
Jesus fucking
it's a
Christ!
very entitled
I do
mindset there.
Yes, yes. God. I think let's carry on
Did I
watching.
interrupt you? Sorry.
No,
Yeah.
and I'm just saying God about the players.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. You didn't interrupt me. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Let's carry on then.
And people once
Yes.
again completely forgot about these discussions. With November now in the rearview mirror, there was still no mention of this Houndmaster from Behaviour. No trailers, no teasers, nothing. Then, completely out of the blue, on the 7th of December, a brand new public test build dropped. Players frantically began the download, a race between who has the fastest internet speed for downloading it, mixed with the best CPU for decompressing the update files, and when they finally opened the game, they were greeted with the Houndmaster. This was it. This was absolutely huge news. Not the update.
Yeah.
I've seen footage of that killer. It looks really glitchy and shit. Basically, the
right.
hounds that she controls look really nasty. Not in a nasty, scary way, like nasty like they're crap. It looks
Yes.
really janky. That's the word, janky. Yes.
Yes. Anyway.
Update itself, that was a huge flop. But the leaker, he was right. Not even an hour into the Houndmaster's test build, players were already over her. Instead, their gaze fixated on something even juicier, the future Tokyo Ghoul chapter. A screenshot of the old leak from Discord was reposted into Reddit barely 1 hour after the Houndmaster PTB went up, and at this point, it was undeniable. Tokyo Ghoul was coming to DBD, whether you liked it or not. Discussions fired up again with rabid ferocity. What was the killer's power going to be? Would it just be a rehash of Nemesis? Which character would it be? Kaneki? Rize? Jason? some people were still in denial, saying that there's no way Behaviour would ruin DBD's gritty aesthetic by adding bloody anime into the game. And if they really did do such a thing, it would definitely kill the game and they'd uninstall for good. For the next 3 months, people eagerly awaited for the inevitable to happen.
Yes.
So what they did with Attack on Titan is they didn't make it look anime. They just changed the aesthetic to match the Dead by Daylight universe.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
It's simple. Right. Yeah, the idiots. Okay. Let's kind of watch it.
I mean, they're just snobs. That's all it comes down
Yes.
to. Out of touch snobs.
Yes. Yes.
And on the 11th of March 2025, it finally happened. Players logged onto Steam to find
pause. Pause. I want to point out, horror is looked down upon by a lot of people as well. Horror movies as an inferior genre, right?
Yes.
As an exploitation genre, it's looked down upon. People are snobbish to horror, and these horror fans have been snobbish to anime. Just so hypocritical. Yeah.
So it's the cycle, you know, the cycle of bullying and of, like, contempt just carries on.
Yeah. Yes, the nerd hierarchy. Well,
Yes.
in their minds, anyway.
Yes, in them, it only exists in their minds. So that's what's pathetic about it.
Yes. Yes.
TB for Dead by Daylight, and upon loading it, there it was. Tokyo Ghoul, no longer just a rumour, with the killer being none other than Kaneki himself. Although, something was different about him. He didn't seem anything like the character the fans knew and loved. Instead, he seemed feral, out of control, like he was controlled by bloodlust and hunger. The weird thing is, he had voice lines and actively referenced certain key parts of his character arc, like, which is a reference to...
So, I personally don't give a shit if the lore's accurate, because Dead by Daylight universe doesn't matter when it comes to lore, because he's teleporting these characters in, the entity, and making them play his game, right? So the lore doesn't matter to me, I don't give a shit.
Yes.
You just want the character designs and the monsters in there. The lore doesn't matter, okay?
Yeah, sure.
He was tortured by Jason, so the lore is there to some extent, but he's just behaving completely out of character. There was no actual survivor to pair with him, instead just skins for other characters like Nia Carlson, which weren't actually in the PTB. As a result of this, pretty much everyone playing the PTB was trying to play Killer and had pretty much zero reason to play Survivor at all, resulting in practically non-existent matchmaking and forcing players into either organised private matches or just playing solo versus bots. But even when trying this, there was still one problem. The servers had immediately become completely overloaded and were lagging like we've never seen before. PTBs always get a sudden influx of players right as it drops and can lag a bit for the first hour or so. But this was next level. It seems the amount of interest this chapter had gathered far exceeded Behaviour's expectations, and they hadn't allocated enough servers to handle it. So players did try to get a feel for Kaneki's kit.
Again, running about.
Yeah.
It's just it's like a Looney Tunes cartoon, watching all this running about.
Right.
That's all I'm saying.
But it was hard to come up with a concrete decision about its strength, as it was far too buggy, laggy, and inconsistent because of the servers. You could do the exact same thing twice in a row and get wildly different results purely due to...
Yes.
So this part's gonna this makes me feel a little bit ill watching it from a killer point of view. There's horrible tentacles and the way it jiggles about. It's quite nasty. How did it make you feel watching it?
I don't know. The killer looks goofy to me. It's it's like I didn't get a lot of the times. Dead by Daylight felt like a goofy game, less of a horror game. And like that's just the feeling I get here.
Yes.
Anyway,
Let's play.
Lag, but the core ability itself, exactly how the playtesters described it. Kaneki did use his Kagane, or tentacles, to pull himself around the map and could effectively grab survivors when getting his initial hit. And the infection? Also correct. It didn't do anything to the survivors, and it functioned less as a debuff for the survivors and more of a buff for the killer. The kit itself was a bit of a weird one. sort of a blight mixed with Legion, but most of the comparisons were focused on Legion, as both killers got their first hit for free, requiring little to no effort from the killer with practically nothing the survivor can do to prevent it, but then having no way of actually getting their second hit other than just walking at the survivor and hoping they make a misplay. While the majority of discussions boiled down to, this killer is just Legion but with better mobility, there were a few thoughts about this killer being something better. Some people tried carrying over the Legion gameplay of injuring once with the ability, then using the ability to catch up before cancelling it and trying to go for a mouse 1 before the survivor could reach anything, and this yielded very weird results. If you waited until you were next to the survivor before cancelling your ability, they'd reach their next pallet or window without any issue and it would play out like Legion 2.0. But some people noticed you could sometimes cancel the ability and start your fatigue while still midway through the dash, meaning that you could hit the survivor the instant you dashed over to them, effectively nullifying the fatigue entirely. But once again, due to how badly the servers were struggling, this was very inconsistent. Sometimes when attempting this, it would completely nullify your fatigue, allowing you to instantly catch up and instantly hit them again, which was incredibly unfair as the survivor couldn't get any distance at all and usually couldn't even reach another pallet or window, but other times this did literally nothing and wouldn't let you cancel early, once again acting as Legion 2.0. The question then became, which one was the bug and which one was the intended design? The fatigue happening while you were dashing seemed far too strong, as if you're still zipping across the map at light speed during this fatigue, then it's not much of a fatigue at all really, is it? But the other option doesn't seem too believable either. After all the issues they've had with the Legion and the huge amounts of backlash they've had from all the failed attempts at fixing that killer, there's no way they haven't learnt their lesson and would just release Kaneki as Legion 2.0, would they? This theory crafting came to a screeching.
Yes.
Behaviour never learn their lessons. They're the most incompetent development team to ever exist. Right?
Yes.
In my opinion. They locked onto a good game formula with some good gameplay, right? And now they've ruined it. They like sabotaged killers and ruined them. Like removed the skill ceiling from them, or nerfed them, or buffed them too much. They just fuck up because they don't understand their own game. They don't understand the main problem of the game either. And I'm trying to explain this to people. People don't want to listen. Right, this is the main problem of the game. So when you got tiers of killers, and the gap between the strongest killer and the weakest killer is too wide, right? You actually can't balance the game.
No.
Okay,
You can't.
because you can't balance the maps around all killers. You're either going to have it so that the maps are too strong for the lowest tier killers, right, or too weak for the highest tier killers. But it's not a challenge for the highest tier killers. Okay. So you've got to do something about that problem. Otherwise, the game's always going to be broken and unbalanced. It's never going to be fixed.
Yeah, I think the game will always be broken and unbalanced because like the devs don't want to fix the existing mechanics and features. They just want to add new flashy mechanics, new characters, which just adds more bloat, just more opportunities to break the game, and that's how the game's going to be.
If anyone's not interested in fixing it, they don't want to hear what I have to say, right? So yeah, even I've tried talking to some like famous streamers. Like one of I think True Talent heard my ideas, and it didn't seem to register to him at all, right? It's like, and it's the obvious core problem of the game, right? The obvious core problem of the game. Like it's just whatever. This game's never going to be fixed. Hopefully, it's going to die off one day.
Pretty bizarre for True Talent to not understand, to be honest.
Yes.
Anyway,
I think they're scared. I think they're scared. Actually, I think they're scared of the game not being boring if it's too balanced. I don't know. Maybe he just wasn't paying attention. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah, let's carry on then.
Halt when a new bug was found, and if you've seen my videos before, you know that when it comes to behaviour, there's always a bigger fish. This bug consisted of starting a dash like normal and spamming the basic attack button while you were travelling, which would allow you to down people during the dash itself before even reaching your end destination or entering fatigue. While I'm sure Blight players would be quick to call this a tech, it was obviously a bug. Nonetheless, any public matches that you did manage to find in the PTB quickly devolved into the killer abusing this bug to absolutely annihilate survivors faster than even the nurse could ever dream of. This, once again, left the killer's true power level undecided. Would the mouse one while dashing bug be fixed? Which of the other two scenarios was the bug and which one was intentional? We'd have to wait for the full release to find out. Only a couple of weeks later, on the 2nd of April 2025, we would see the full release of Kaneki, and thankfully, the mouse one while dashing glitch was patched, and with the servers no longer being extremely laggy, we would finally find out which of the two options was the intended.
Yes.
So here's another problem with these live service games. They've always got to be making new content, and there's only so much you can do with a single game, but it gets really repetitive and samey. And this killer just feels samey. It just feels like a mismatch of other killers. Tentacle powers, dashing powers, right? It doesn't feel unique. I can't really, like, what was the last unique killer? I can't really think. Maybe it was like Nemesis. Maybe it was Nemesis or Wesker, right? It's felt, yeah, like when Alien came out, right? It had a tail, right? And it could tunnel underground. So it was a mobility killer. Tunnels sort of felt like Demigorgon's tunnels, and a tail whip sort of felt a little bit like Nemesis whip, right? It just didn't feel unique at all. It just felt there's only so much you can do, right? It's like most games, non-live service games, you make the content and that's it, right?
Yes.
What are they going to do? It's going to be 100 killers with 100 different powers. What can you do power-wise? That's different. There's got to be a limit to what you can do this game. But yeah, let's carry on.
Can't really do a lot without repeating things like other things.
Yeah.
Really.
Yes.
Impossible.
Yes.
Playstyle for this kit, the Legion 2.0 playstyle or the non-existent Fatigue insta follow-up playstyle? And the answer is... That's right. Not only would Kaneki have absolutely insane Blight level map pressure, but he'd also get a guaranteed uncounterable hit like the Legion, only this one was even better as it worked through walls, over pallets, long range, and could even hit people on the floor above you, as well as the ability to immediately catch up to you and follow up with a basic attack without the fatigue. Again, there was technically a fatigue, but it would be over at the same time the dash finished, so it didn't really do anything. And dear God did Kaneki break Dead by Daylight. While the free hit itself was very buggy and would land the most absurd hits ever seen in Dead by Daylight, it wasn't really a problem, as other killers also kept survivors injured for free, like the Legion and the Plague. But the real problem lied in Kaneki's ability to immediately catch up to the survivor even after the on-hit burst and follow up with a basic attack. Let's say Kaneki has already injured a survivor and they manage to make it to a decent pallet. Kaneki would then immediately dash up to them, and then there's a choice for the survivor to make. Do they try and run the loop to get some value, or do they immediately drop the pallet and run to the next resource while the killer breaks it? Well, if the survivor chooses not to drop the pallet, Kaneki instantly follows up with a basic attack due to that lack of fatigue, and the survivor is down, so that's a loss. Okay, let's insta-drop the pallet then. Sucks to waste resources so quickly, but I guess it beats going down immediately. Nope, still a loss for the survivor. If it's a very long and safe loop,
killer. Boring to play against. Basically. Sounds like a no counterplay killer that's boring to play against.
Yeah.
So it sounds like a yes.
Anyway.
He will just vault over the pallet much faster than Wesker can, and this action also makes the survivor hindered too by an almighty 50% for a second. This means that Kaneki catches up and downs them before the survivor can loop back around to vault the pallet, even though they'd be just fine against Wesker in the same situation. But let's say it's not a wide loop and they would be able to vault back over in time. Looks like Kaneki is forced to break the pallet. Now you have a chance to get a bit of distance and head over to the next loop. But uh-oh, he's already dashed back on top of you again before you could even reach the next pallet, and you're dead.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'll point out another problem in the game from a survival point of view. So there's some killers I love playing against that were exciting, right? Because it felt like you were in a horror movie and was trying to survive. But eventually, then it got really samey, and all the powers felt the same, and there's just so many different powers to learn as well, and how to play against them. It just got too much, right?
Yes.
It's like Tekken 7 with too many patterns to learn how to fight against. It's just too much. It's like, yeah. I like playing against Huntress. I love playing against Pyramid Head. I love playing against Nemesis. Okay, they were good. Like it felt like fair killers to play against. It's like based on skill versus skill. But this, I just don't know. It's just how many killers are there? Like Venica, He was really broken when he first dropped, and they had to nerf him as well, if I remember correctly.
Are there like 50 killers now? I mean,
I think it's nearly 40. I think it's
right.
a million. I don't know. It feels
Maybe
like a lot.
around 40, but
Yeah,
these killers
yeah,
just feel like a bizarre mishmash
yes,
of powers
yes.
that other killers already have. It's just no identity to them.
Yes.
So, shall I carry on?
Yes, carry on. Yes.
Maybe every now and then you do manage to reach the next loop, but again, he'll already be on top of you again by that point, so you're forced to insta-drop it once again, forcing you to make a choice between rinsing through every pallet at record speed or just dying immediately. Which, by definition, is overpowered, as no matter what the survivor does, they lose, and very quickly at that. And of course, not forgetting the add-ons. Kaneki had some of the strongest and most versatile add-ons out of any killer in the game, giving him plenty of options for information, offensive power, speed, and more. Take Yamari's mask for example, which would activate any time Kaneki hooked a survivor while enraged. This is pretty much the entire match by the way, and made all other survivors scream, revealing their location, allowing Kaneki to instantly dash over to them and begin the next chase. Or Fresh Coffee, which made his dashes faster, giving him even more map pressure, but by far, the worst offender was Hinami's Umbrella, which reduced his already borderline non-existent fatigue by an almighty 10%. All of this added up to Kaneki being a huge problem, possibly the most problematic killer in the history of DBD. We had a killer that was stronger than the Blight, easier than the Legion, and got heaps of information from add-ons. There was no right option for survivors. Every chase option resulted in death or record speed resource wastage. Stealth was a no-go due to his information add-ons, and what made this even more egregious than Nurse and Blight was that anybody can pick him up for the first time and absolutely annihilate even strong survivors. At least Nurse and Blight required a decent amount of time invested to hone in their skills. It was clear only after a day or two that Kaneki was a huge problem. But what was going to happen? Are they just going to leave him in this state until the next major update? Would the game even survive that long? Maybe they'll do an emergency hotfix balance patch or something, but then they probably also don't want to do that considering the backlash they got for nerfing Freddy after only 2 weeks. But then again, this is nothing like Freddy at all. They got backlash for nerfing a character that was already terrible. This would be nerfing a character that's completely overpowered. It was up in the air as to what could happen next. It would only be 5 days after the release of Tokyo Ghoul when DBD would get another update, which contained the Blood Moon event. Oh my god, finally! Players have been asking for a side objective for survivors where they need to gather generator parts or get oil cans since all the way back in 2017. After all this time, it's finally here. This could be absolutely huge for the future of DBD, and players were excited to get stuck into, potentially, history in the making. Then they queued, and match after match after match, Kaneki, Kaneki, Kaneki. And this update didn't change him at all. Any excitement that would have came from this mode was overshadowed by the utter torment of playing against Kaneki all day long. Many survivors started somewhat of a union or a protest. They didn't quit DBD or leave a negative review of the game, instead they just refused to play against the Ghoul. They wouldn't quit as that would invoke a DC penalty, stopping them from playing the game. But they did want to play the game, just not against a killer that was so obnoxious and unfair. Things needed to change. Thankfully, just over 2.
Yeah.
I just want to make it tight here. How many games, online games, do you get penalised for quitting with DC penalties? Because I don't know any other from the top of my head.
I think you get a handful here and there. That I've lost track of them, though.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Like it. Friday the 13th was weird. It made you watch the entire game, otherwise you wouldn't get your XP. But I didn't mind because the game was so fun to watch, right? When you were dead, like just watching it play out. But yes. But yeah, let's carry on.
2 weeks after his release, on the 17th of April 2025, Kaneki would receive some much needed changes. Nerf, reduced the range of his dash by 2 meters. Nerf, reduced the grab attack range from 5 meters to 3.5 meters. Nerf, reduced the auto-aim size on the grab by 94%. Nerf, breaking a pallet puts Kaneki's power on a cooldown of 1 dash's worth. Nerf, slightly reduced the enrage timer. alongside some nerfs to his add-ons, such as putting a reverse distance cap on Yamari's mask like barbecue and chili, and a complete rework of the Hinami's umbrella add-on. While these numbers may seem pretty big in a vacuum, like the almighty 94% reduction on his auto-aim, these were actually very light nerfs, with the majority of them only having a tiny impact. The impactful changes were the removal of the old Hinami's umbrella add-on, which reduced his fatigue, and the addition of breaking pallets, putting him into a short cooldown. It was honestly quite surprising seeing them go for such gentle nerfs, especially considering how powerful he was. So many times in the past, we've seen the devs absolutely obliterate new killers with nerfs, even if they weren't particularly strong to begin with, so it's nice.
Yes.
So a lot of new killers, recent killers, seem to be very oppressive killers with fast downing times. Like the Alien was that, right? So
Yes.
again, that leaves the lower tier killers in the dirt even more. So
Yep. So
yeah,
that's the.
yeah. Oh yes, go ahead.
I mean, it's behavior strategy. Sell the new content. Make the new content powerful so people want to buy it and play it. Like,
The problem is a lot of the weak killers are horror icons, right? Like Freddy, Michael Myers, the Pig, right? Some horror icons are just absolute trash,
Yes.
dog shit
I mean,
in the game.
behavior ruined this game from the perspective of being an iconic horror game. So
Yes,
they just introduced
Yes.
weird new killers most people aren't really that attached to.
yes.
So yeah.
No one plays Artist,
Yeah, no one really.
for example.
Yeah.
Yes. Let's carry on.
Yeah.
Isn't the case here. Of course, the next question on everyone's minds was, were these nerfs enough? It seemed to be evenly split down the middle, with one side being adamant that the nerfs were far too small and he was still completely broken, while the other side was furious about people still asking for more nerfs as they thought he was totally fair now. Overall, the nerfs were undeniably great. The range reductions didn't have any real impact as Kaneki could still grab people from miles away even afterwards. The auto-aim reduction now meant you had to be looking in the general direction of the survivor you wanted to grab, instead of it just auto-grabbing anyone on the same continent as you, and pallet breaking putting his ability on cooldown did help to address the issue of him instantly catching up and hitting survivors. It would only be another 2.5 weeks later, on the 6th of May 2025, when Kaneki would receive a second round of changes. Nerf. Reduce the survivor's hinder duration when Kaneki vaults using his power from 1 second to half a second. Nerf. Breaking a pallet puts Kaneki's power on a cooldown of 2 dashes worth instead of 1 dash. The hinder reduction will help reduce the amount of lose-lose scenarios for survivors when Kaneki chooses to vault instead of break the pallet, but I have a feeling that doubling the cooldown when breaking a pallet might be too much. Time will tell how it affects him, but there's one thing that can't be denied. The release version of Kaneki completely broke Dead by Daylight, but the story isn't done yet. While that may be all for the history of this DLC, at least at the time of making this video, the impact that this will have on the future of DBD is only just beginning. The remaining options for live action collabs are slowly dwindling away, as DBD already has the overwhelming majority of worthwhile collabs in the game, and since Tokyo Ghoul has now opened the door to the world of anime, as time goes on, we're likely going to see DBD leaning more and more into this. I know we technically had Attack on Titan before, but a mere skin collection is nowhere near as impactful as having the actual functional characters. But does this ruin DBD's aesthetic? If we're talking about 2017 DBD, then absolutely, anime has no place in the game. But we're not in 2017 anymore. This is 2025, and I can tell you now that there are plenty of animes that fit the game far more than some of the stuff that's already in the game. I mean, look at the Trickster for God's sake. Oh, music, how scary. Or the Skull Merchant, who's literally a canonical weeb who designed her drones after the stuff she saw in mangas. Or even with licensed characters. Ghostface and Chucky's original franchises were already somewhat playful, tongue-in-cheek, jokey horror films. The good news is that there are many different animes that would fit perfectly in Dead by Daylight without ruining whatever immersion we have left, some of which being even better candidates than the live action films. For instance, Cat Planet Cuties. Okay, I'm just kidding. There are genuinely good options like Lucy from Elfen Lied, or pretty much anyone from Future Diary. Like Third, who's a straight-up slasher, or Tsubaki with clairvoyance and mind control, 12th with clones and trickery, Uryu Minane with mobility and explosives, or the legendary Yuno Gasai, one of the most famous killers in anime history, with none other than Yuki being a perfect matching survivor, with the various diaries seen in the show serving as perfect starting points for perks and add-ons. It's important to keep in mind that for a long time now, DBD has been modifying the lore of licensed characters, with every character's ages being changed to be at least 21.
If they gave it away for free, I'd be tempted to try it out, but I wouldn't fucking give them money to get them. That's the problem. So I've got lots of content already, but I'm never giving them money ever again, so I'm sort of fucked.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Let's see. There's 15 more seconds here. Shall we just play it?
I think we're done. Yes.
All right.
Yes. You know, what I'd love actually was for an indie game to make Rose Dead by Daylight clone with Lucy from Elven Lied and do it better. That would be interesting.
Yes.
Because you know what? What would be better? I want. Because what I like about Friday the 13th was it had a high survivor count. You get more kills in the game as the killer, right? And there's just more and the killer was stronger because of that.
Yes.
The balance for the more survivors. I'd like to have one with like Lucy, and you're really powerful, but you've got like 20 survivors to hunt down, or something. That would be interesting.
Survivors
could be very action packed.
Survivors could even have guns, because the guns would be so ineffective because Lucy is that powerful. Just kill soldiers instantly.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
So yes, this game. This is probably the last Dead by Daylight video I'm going to make. I had a 3-part series, and I made the first 2 videos, and I just forgot to make the third part of why I'm leaving Dead by Daylight. This can serve as that third part, then.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yes.
I mean, this is a game ruined by. Go on.
No, you go. You finish. I'll let you finish.
It's a game ruined by scope creep, player favoritism, and a toxic community that harasses one part of the community, like stalks, literally stalks.
And it's full of man haters, and it's got DEI in it as well, right? Feminist man haters, because I think he did a stream with a voice to mock someone, right? And he got kicked off the Fog Whisperer program for being ableist. And Die Hard Diva has a complete meltdown and sends her followers off to someone in a game and just like abuses them verbally and harasses them. He gets to keep it, right?
Yes.
Complete double standard. They've got like, oh, you moid, you melt. This hyper scrutiny on men and having no scrutiny on women, I'm not tolerating it anymore, and I'm just going to call it out, right? Because having hyper scrutiny on you is the definition of this discrimination. I'm sorry.
Yes.
It's like bad faith interpretations of male behaviour.
It's plain disrespect. That's what it is.
Yes. And this game's full of hackers and all that.
Yeah. Want to make one point clear. DEI is just favoritism towards women and exclusion of men.
Yes.
In gaming.
Yes.
Yes. Job hiring.
I don't want to give money. I don't want to give money to like these gaming companies who are like that. Thank you very much. You're not getting my money. So the thing is, I stick to what I say. I'm not like one of these whining bitches. Like they think that it's in a lot of things, not just in video games. Like they complain about the fandom, they complain about the franchise, and they're still watching it and they're waiting for the next. Oh, the next one will be good. The next one will be good. And when they're disappointed, they complain again. They go, oh no, I'll boycott it. I'll boycott it this time, and they never do. And they keep on gobbling up the slop and diarrhea. Right?
Yeah.
I'm not like that. I'm done with this game.
Yes. I mean those types of guys are really pathetic. Just raging narcissists.
The Star Wars fans are like that. Basically, they're just whining bitches complaining about it. And they're still watching this shit. I don't watch it.
Well, it's like
midnight. The thing is, I think yes. Let's not talk about those channels because that's not relevant. Right? That's going off too much topic. But when I saw The Force Awakens and it was crap, I just dropped it. I haven't watched anything since. Right? Okay, I haven't watched anything since. Wasn't waiting for the Star Trek, right? As soon as I didn't really like the first one, I didn't hate it. It was okay. Then the second one, right, Into Darkness, I just dropped it. I just moved on. I just walked on. Right, yeah, this is not my franchise. Boom. I didn't like any of the TV shows, right? Okay. Star Trek Discovery. I didn't like Picard. I didn't watch it. Yeah.
Yes.
And then there's lots of people do complain about Dead by Daylight. You just got to walk away. You just got to walk away. You just got to drop the game. Even if you're addicted, drop the game. Walk away. You'll feel much better. Don't give these toxic companies your money.
I mean,
Right.
I gotta say that there's been a couple games that I've just walked away from myself, even when I liked the
Yes.
game, due to
Yes.
various reasons, like
Yes.
community-related reasons or just game dev reasons.
Actually, I want to touch on one subject before we end this because I think this is relevant. It's live service games versus non-live service games. Right. A live service game you don't own because it's dependent on multiplayer and it's always changing. Right. So you're always at the mercy of developers.
Yes,
Okay. Like if you're going to invest in it, have one with a good track record that keeps good game balance, right? And doesn't have contempt for the audience, okay? But
yes,
for the most part, I've made a compromise on Tekken. I'm gonna get into Tekken 8. I've played it a little bit. I'm gonna get into it more, right? I'm taking a break from gaming right now, but when I get back into gaming, I will play Tekken 8, okay? But the thing is, for the most part, I don't play live service games anymore. I don't. It's everything. It's either single player or it's multiplayer games where it's direct connection, right? No more updates for the game, or you can play it on your own private server and
yes,
control it 100% what you got.
yes.
Yeah,
Like the
The-
multiplayer
the-
games that give the players power, like power to own their own
yes,
servers.
yeah. Like for example, Trickster. What they did, they modified Trickster. He had a lot of subtle elements to his gameplay that I didn't know about, but I watched on a video. Oh, wow, this killer's actually very interesting. There's a lot of skill to this killer. Then they just removed it and dumbed him down. So that means if you invest all those hours training in the killer and getting good at with him, and then you just remove it, they're shitting on your time investment,
Yes,
right? I don't trust, but they don't understand the game. They don't understand the game. They don't respect the killers, the hardcore player base of the game. So anyway, I think that's time to end. What do you
yep,
say?
yep. We've said everything we can say here. So,
Yeah.
yep. Goodbye, everyone.